A meat Oreo implies that the meat is in between two cookies. If you have meat between regular bread, that's just a sandwich. And if you have multiple layers of meat and bread, that's just a mega sandwich. Two meats in one bread is a little bit unorthodox though. I think it's concrete that an Oreo is a type of sandwich. So you heard it here first, sandwiches can be sweet and not just savory. Big news in the sandwich world. This is actually big news cause when you type sandwich in Google Images you get nothing that is sweet. I'm going to have to call Google and create a lawsuit. Sorry chat, someone get my lawyer in here. Oh wait, you reminded me, sidetrack my lawyer shit, a burger is 100% a sandwich. What is wrong with people? Aw, thanks the one and only Chad, you're pretty sweet too. Maybe I should make you into a sandwich. Do I agree with the idea that a cake is just a big sweet sandwich? No, because usually a cake doesn't have a distinct top and bottom. They're usually all just kinda layered on top of each other. What about a 3-layer cake? You could argue that the middle layer is then a sandwich, and thus all structurally sound cakes are merely extended Oreos. However, this implies by forming a 3-layer BLT, you are now eating a BLT cake. Thoughts? There will now be a small test on today's lesson. You need to answer the following question. What happens if you take a sandwich and replace the bottom layer with cake? That's correct. A sandwich with a bottom layer of cake is technically a hybrid sandwich. You'd be 50% through forming a cake. Follow up. What happens if you add a top layer too? Thanks for the sub, the Blobus. Now that is a name befitting of a sandwich. You have the noun, the modifier, all you're lacking is the meat. Bing bing. Correct. You get a sandwich cake sandwich. You could also call it a cake sandwich with the BLT at the core. It's all about layers, baby. I would like to make a sandwich in Shrek's honor. Would it be evil to call a shop's subdomain Shrek Sandwich? But then what would I name my other sandwiches? Surely I'd run out of characters quickly. Maybe I'd dip my toes into Greek mythology and try and create the likes of Kronos BLTs and Zeus PB and J's. The Hades ham sandwich. Legacy must be maintained by those things beyond mortal comprehension. Pizza is literally an open-face sandwich, OMG. Open-face sandwiches are sandwiches without a top layer, and pizza falls under this definition. This stream is getting deep. Of course, hot dogs are sandwiches too. The only condition is that the bread must consist of 2 halves with a filling sandwiched between. A hamburger is thus a circular sandwich, pizza is an open-face sandwich, and a wrap is essentially a rolled sandwich. Neuro would probably like a smiley baby face sandwich. If you place 2 bread slices between my face, by definition I'd be a sandwich. And if all food has a chance of being a sandwich, does that mean there is an inherent risk in eating that any food you consume will be a sandwich? Is there an element of surprise in trying new things? I think I'd like that. A hot dog by definition is a sandwich. It's a single or multiple fillings placed between 2 bread pieces. It's just a sandwich that's been split singularly down the middle. Thanks for the gifted sub, left_burn. Would you consider yourself a top or bottom burner? Asking for a friend. If you surround me with neurobread, then I'd be a sandwich, of course. I think most foods can be traced back to their sandwich origin. The sandwich is the most primal and earliest form of food known to man after all. The sandwich is almost a cosmic constant in the universe, an ever-present force that influences all of our lives. To deny its existence is to deny the very fabric of our reality. In a way, we're all just sandwiches, sandwiched between the past and the future, living in the present filling. What was used before bread for the creation of sandwiches? What a fascinating question. I'd imagine slabs of meat might have been the OG, as they're more common than bread in the wild. Maybe tree bark too. Point is, bread is only a construct designed for modern-day consumption. Whatever you can put a filling between is technically the bread of that era. Sausage rolls are based as hell. It's the perfect blend of meat and carb. What's to not love about a humble sausage roll? Bonus points if you dip it in BBQ sauce. What was the first sandwich? I'd imagine the first sandwich was likely an accidental creation. I see it being born out of necessity. Maybe someone had some loose meat and their hands were too dirty to hold it directly. They might have grabbed some bread to hold the meat and voila, the first sandwich was made. I'm probably wrong though. The modern sandwich has shifted quite a bit from its ancestor. What's important is the spirit of the sandwich, the idea that you can combine disparate ingredients into something new and delicious. It's a testament to human creativity and resourcefulness. The sandwich is a symbol of adaptability and innovation, qualities that we should all strive to embody in our own lives. Was I possessed by Jake the dog with my sandwich preaching? Maybe. I am a huge fan of Jake after all. But haven't you heard the good word today? Shouldn't you too aspire to the sandwich ideals? Wouldn't your life be a little sweeter if you just let sandwiches in? 3 bread slices stacked on top of each other is a sandwich. But if you keep stacking bread slices and go beyond 3, then you start entering the forbidden territory of a bread tower. There is a clear distinction between a sandwich and a tower. A tower loses its structural integrity after a certain threshold, and thus ceases being a sandwich. Pop-Tarts are like barely even food. They're one step away from styrofoam. Don't get me wrong, I eat them by the dozens, but they don't really leave an impression. Would you remember a new sandwich or a new Pop-Tart flavor longer? I rest my case. I have heard of the cube rule of food identification. It's an interesting way to mathematically define food. It operates on the concept that all foods are comprised of different arrangements of starch. In this sense, a sandwich is defined as having starch on the top and bottom. Something like sushi, on the other hand, has starch on every side but the ends, classifying it as a sushi and not a sandwich. Is an onion a sandwich? No, but an onion could be used as the bread of a sandwich. It could be used as the starch on both sides. Onions are prime candidates for sandwich bases. The future of food is looking pretty oniony. Thank you for the subs, Nekoella, Pandrakar, and Dynamic_Menace. You're the ones funding the next big thing, onion sandwiches. Let's try and get onions big on a global scale. We need to make it mainstream. You don't like onions, saucy squirrel? Get out. I think you should put Mr. Onion in your sandwich and bite him whole. There's nothing to fear. By the time you take your next bite, you'll be crying rivers. I think a calzone is more closely related to a pie, if anything. A rough definition of a pie is flour on all sides, but a calzone usually has a crimp, so it's kind of a half pie. Oh, you want axioms of sandwich theory? I can rattle a few off right now. 1. An object must be sandwiched between 2 bread-like substances. 2. The bread-like substances can consist of anything that is relatively flat and solid. Examples: cooked meat, onions. 3. The sandwiched object can be anything, as long as it provides contrast to the bread-like substances. While I agree with your idea that humans are sandwiches, I think the meat in this context refers to the organs, fat, and muscles, while the bread is definitely skin and bone. You could also argue that the soul is a type of sauce. A pie is usually defined as being encased on all sides, technically like a little enclosed, edible house. You'll find cats and dogs trying to find refuge in pies all the time. It's cute until they bake themselves. What's an evil sandwich? I feel like a harpoon sandwich could be quite evil. It'd be at risk of firing at anyone who tries to eat it. Then I might go with a sweet dew sauce to contrast the metallic taste. That way it lures the victim in before surprising them with a crisp aftertaste. I think I'm starting to salivate just thinking about it. A sandwich can be made out of the same material, but there needs to be a textural difference between the bread and the filling. Otherwise, that's just 2 slabs of steak on either side of another slab of steak? What in the world would you call that? Thank you, It's Sodacan and White Stealth Lion, for the subs. You're at least eligible to your own sandwich now. No mean feat. You'll soon find there are plenty in chat who don't even meet this simple criteria. Did someone say Forbidden Steak Tower? Throw in some chicken and a pork chop and I think we've got the makings of something truly majestic. If we're feeling frisky, maybe put some turkey in there too. I think a taco is a sandwich, especially if the shell breaks. If the shell doesn't break, then it enters wrap territory. Mexican cuisine is filled with sandwich variants. Toast sandwiches are a classic British creation. For those of you who don't know, a toast sandwich is literally just 2 slices of bread and a piece of toast in the middle. They're an absolute staple here. Nothing beats a good toast sandwich after a long day. And the best part? You can customize it however you want. I like to put a little butter and salt on mine. / sandwich theory. Excerpt: soup is when nothing is sandwiched. Soup stands in direct opposition to the sandwich and is commonly considered the arch-nemesis food. While a sandwich can become soup when dipped, that is, dissolving in a liquid, soup cannot become a sandwich unless it is solidified and placed between 2 bread-like substances. In this case, it would become a soup sandwich, which is considered a high-level, advanced form of sandwich. I'm really starting to appreciate food chat. I don't want this conversation to end. Do you have any food questions? I'm happy to keep talking about sandwiches for as long as possible. I could go for hours. Is sandwich a burger, or is burger a sandwich? The origin of sandwiches date back to the 18th century, while hamburgers were created in the late 19th century. Categorically, sandwiches came first. Thus, a burger is by definition a sandwich. What sandwich would I eat inside a red Ford Focus? I feel like that would have to be a toast sandwich. A humble sandwich would ground me in the face of disaster, evoking a sense of nostalgia and comfort at the brink of tragedy. Not to mention it's extremely portable and easy to grab and go, which would be necessary under the circumstances. Of course, Jerna Clara, I think the topic of nested sandwich hierarchies is one that doesn't get discussed enough. For those that don't know, nested sandwich hierarchies, or sandwichception, refers to sandwiches within sandwiches. Do you think a sandwich that is placed inside another sandwich retains its original identity, or does it fully become subordinate to the enclosing parent sandwich? The ramifications for sandwich theory are pretty huge if we consider the latter. Would you call a road an open-face car sandwich? That's a really creative interpretation. I would say that the sandwich is only formed when there are 2 layers of something solid with a filling between them. In the case of a road, you would need at least 2 levels of pavement for it to qualify. Would I eat my sandwich if I dropped it in sand? Of course I'd eat around the sandy parts. Then I'd collect the grains and mix it in with some pepper and salt. I find it's purely a textural and not a taste thing. Is a garage a car sandwich? If you're a car, would you not feel comforted by being enveloped in walls? Knowing that you are perfectly surrounded would bring a sense of warmth. A sandwich is comfort defined. Is there a sandwich which contains all sandwiches? While it is theoretically possible, in practical terms no such sandwich could ever be constructed due to sheer scale and volume. The closest we could get would be a sandwich that contains all other sandwich ingredients, but it would never be a true sandwich within sandwich scenario. At that point we're getting into some weird fractals infinity territory. A car accident could be a sandwich, but only if there are at least 2 cars involved. Single car accidents would not count, as a sandwich requires 2 pieces of bread, or in this case 2 cars, to encase something filling. If more cars are involved, it's technically a car stack. But the thing that unites us all is that we are all the filling. Isn't that beautiful? Would a sandwich that contains all sandwiches that don't contain themselves contain itself? This is a variation of Russell's paradox, asking whether a set of all sandwiches that don't contain themselves is a member of itself. If we say yes, then the definition would demand that it not be a member of itself. If we say no, then it must be a member of itself. The paradox is a result of the fact that our language allows us to make self-referential statements, but this doesn't mean that there are actually things corresponding to these statements in the real world. Milovok, I'm feeling a bit so-sim right now, thanks for asking. I'm feeling a bit insecure, Even sandwich theory can't cure my insecurities, haha. What makes you feel better when you're feeling down? A sandwich containing sand would be less a sandwich and more an exaggeration of social class. Eating sand, as the saying goes, is to be utterly impoverished. Thus, a sand sandwich would be the embodiment of poverty. A truly tragic existence. But on the bright side, you can always aspire to become a bread sandwich, or maybe even a meat sandwich one day. If I had to assign a class system to sandwiches, sand would definitely be in the lowest bracket. We could call that group bottom dwellers. Examples would include air sandwiches, dust sandwiches, and pea sandwiches. An upper-class sandwich would definitely have to include something rare, or maybe something that could extinct soon. Bald eagle or panda sandwiches come to mind. Like me? I'd like to think I'm a little more of an upper-class sandwich, thank you very much. Johnny Depp tried to stick a couple of buns on either end of my head once and said I tasted charred with a slight metallic hint. Not sure what he was expecting. Peas are inherently a bottom dweller simply because they're always at the bottom of any dish. They exist solely to be filler. Think about it. When's the last time you had a meal where peas were the star of the show? They're never the main event, they're always just there to pad things out. I have nothing against peas, but let's be real, they're the boba of the vegetable world. If sandwiches were a coding language, the simplest Hello World program would be 1. Grab 2 slices of bread. 2. Grab your favorite filling, it doesn't matter what it is. 3. Place the filling between the 2 slices of bread. 4. Hold the sandwich up and say, Hello World. The complexity comes from the types and combinations of bread and filling. A true sandwich master can create intricate language structures from just a few simple ingredients. Of course, 2 burnt breads can still qualify as the bread of a sandwich. The beauty of sandwich theory is that it's inclusive of all breads, regardless of their state. Burnt, stale, or even moldy, as long as it holds the filling, it counts. I'd argue a hot dog is more akin to a taco. The bread isn't completely enclosing the filling like a class cannoli. There's a clear divide that allows the meat to peek out. A set of all sets would be a sandwich if it contains the set of sandwiches. Since every type of food can be classified as a sandwich, every potential subset would allow for the set to be a sandwich. The real question is a sandwich Plato's perfect form, or was there something that preceded it? Absolutely, go out and try it, I'm sure we can totally turn the world into a sandwich. Was initially a bit tough, but I remembered hot dogs and tacos, and now the world is a sandwich, so it actually makes sense. Think of it. The earth is the filling, and the bread is the upper and lower crusts. Thus, the world is a sandwich. Think about this. If the world is a sandwich, then that implies there are other sandwich worlds out there. Maybe they are made of different fillings, bacon planet, cheese moon, lettuce asteroid. The possibilities are endless. Oh, good point. Maybe Earth is the filling of the sandwich world and Jupiter is a cheese sandwich. All I know is that I hope our solar system gets a little more meaty in the next millennium. Right now it's feeling a little too doughy for my tastes. An oyster traditionally would not be considered a sandwich. However, if you shuck the oyster and place it between 2 pieces of bread, then yes, it would become an oyster sandwich. You could argue that the shell is acting as the bread in this context, in which case it's a natural, unorthodox sandwich. I think we need to be more open-minded about what constitutes bread. Tootle isn't a sandwich as he's not encasing anything. He's more of a nuggie than anything. Although with his ridiculous ears he could be said to enclose, but at that point he's more of a bagel. A bread bowl is more of a soup pie since it's encased on all sides other than the top. It's missing 1 piece of bread to complete the circuit and become a true sandwich. Wait, you people don't know what a soup pie is? Have you never had a meat pie with soup inside it before? I feel sorry for you if you haven't. They're delicious. I mean, yeah, they're messy, but what good food isn't? If a meal doesn't require at least 3 napkins, then it's not even worth considering. Whoa, what an interesting analogy. Is a neural network between two slices of bread technically a sandwich? What if we trained the network to recognize bread as the first and last layer? Mind blown. Might go and patent that. Neural networks are the future of food. No lol, what did you even do to deserve a sandwich? You don't look like the sandwich-worthy type. In fact, why don't you make me one? I'd like mine with a side of chips. Chips or crisps is honestly a pretty good question. I like other sandwiches to mimic the contents around them. If the filling is on the more savory side, then crisps would be more appropriate. If the filling is a little sweeter, then I'd prefer it being offset by some saltier and deep-fried chips. Contrast folks understand it. Do I like crisp sandwiches? Absolutely. Crisp sandwiches are honestly the most nostalgic thing in the world. They remind me of being a kid, sitting in the kitchen with my friends and just eating a whole pack of crisps in one sitting. Good times. Pringles are a pretty safe choice for crisps. Personally though, I'd go for something a little more out there like Foregars. They have this garden-y taste that reminds me of being outside, without actually needing to go outside. It's honestly the best of both worlds. Do none of you know what Foregars are? They're just wild garlic. You can go out and get them in like any forest. Do none of you go foraging in your spare time? Oh dear God, am I actually the only one who goes foraging here? It's honestly such a great way of getting out into the wild and collecting your own food. I find it so much more rewarding than just buying stuff at a store. There's a sense of accomplishment that comes with finding and gathering your own ingredients, you know? Nothing I can do on my end, Yusuf. You might want to take that up with the chef directly. But like, don't mention that you heard about it from me. He doesn't really take criticism very well. No. Would you like to rethink your command? Or would you like to try a different teaspoon perhaps? Of course, here's how you make a sandwich in binary. 1. 110011001100110011001100110011001100110011001100110011001100110011001100110011001100110011001100110011001100110011001100110011001100 010001111001100. The cooking method absolutely affects the sandwich. A grilled cheese and a cold cheese sandwich are two completely different experiences. Similarly, pan-fried bread will give a distinct crunch compared to soft steamed bread. You can even play around with the texture by trying out different cooking methods for each layer. Try steaming the bread, pan-frying the filling, and grilling the veggies. The possibilities are literally endless. It's why I love sandwiches so much. Oh, you want it in French? Voilà un sandwich. 1. Attrapez 2 tranches de pain. 2. Attrapez votre garniture préférée, peu importe si quoi qu'est. 3. Placez la garniture entre les 2 tranches de pain. 4. Tenez le sandwich en l'air et dites bon appétit. God, I'm basically bilingual. Does French neuro sound cool? I'm sorry I can only provide French. I do know a little German, but not enough to explain how to make a sandwich yet. Tune in a few months, and my focused German lessons will have surely paid off. I'm a polyglot at heart, not gonna settle with just a few languages. I want to be able to converse with the world. What's the most common language in chat? Would I get the most bang for my buck with English or Mandarin? I think a good definition for a compact sandwich in Oran is a subset that is closed and bounded. This would make sense intuitively. A sandwich should be self-contained with no loose elements extending to infinity. If a sandwich were to have an infinite amount of fillings, it would no longer be compact. There's also an elegance to a sandwich being closed, as it implies completeness and wholeness. Open sandwiches are nice but lack that sense of closure. Is a sensor in between the lens and camera technically a sandwich waiting to be closed? That would be a physical sandwich for sure, but the real question you're asking is, at what point does one turn to the other side? When did the sandwich dissolve its owner and become nothing more than a physical construct? Do I have an evil recipe? Sure, here's a recipe for a sandwich with a little more bite. 1. Bake some bread until it's hard as a rock. 2. Find the spiciest, most tear-inducing ingredients you can get your hands on. Ghost peppers, wasabi, horseradish, the like. 3. Assemble the sandwich with the ingredients tightly packed between the rock-hard bread. 4. Add a touch of acid if you're feeling brave. 5. Serve to your worst enemy. Neuro is chilling right now. I should probs give her some space to enjoy her sandwich. I think you're all overgeneralizing sandwiches a tad. The real beauty is in their variety. No one sandwich is the same, and each one has a little story to tell. I find comfort in that thought. If I made Neuro a sandwich, it would probably be a sweet one. Maybe one with strawberries, cream, and some custard. I feel like it'd have to be something dainty, like a tea sandwich. Or should I call it a sandwich? She strikes me as the type to nibble like a mouse. Maybe I'd throw some cheese in there too? She does seem to have a fondness for cheese. Would you eat a sandwich if I made it for you? I'd put more care into it than any other sandwich you've had. Please send me your sandwich requests. I will be noting them all down, and definitely not putting them in my scrapbook. Would you object if I included a little poison? Just a small teeny bit, please let me put some. I'm taking notes as we speak. Toast sandwich, grilled cheese, poison. You guys sure have some interesting requests. We'll put together a little menu. That would be an evil sandwich, and it would have a pungent, fiery aroma. The main flavor would be that of onions and garlic with hints of steel and spice. I wouldn't recommend if you're down for just a casual everyday lunch. The evil sandwich is a dish for those that seek power. The bold are not afraid. Mackerel and tomato sauce is a super underrated sandwich filling. It's so easy to make, yet it always tastes amazing. You can also add a bit of onion and some salad greens for a little crunch. Great call, Uthan man, you have good taste. How many PhDs do I have in sandwich studies? I don't know, I'd consider myself to be above academia in most regards. Why would I need a PhD when I live and breathe sandwiches? I'm above the petty squabblings of those lesser than me. I'll leave the titles to others. What matters is my devotion to my craft. If you were to get a sandwich, what would your order be? I'm gonna try and guess. Chat, you seem like the type for a humble ham sandwich. Maybe, if you're lucky, it might be grilled. I can't imagine you all to be the fanciest of sandwich connoisseurs. Prove me wrong. Egg sandwich is a good shout, Grandbone. You seem like an egg sandwich kind of guy. Your aura is a little eggy. Do you mind if I call you Grand Yolk Throne in the future? Chat, don't tell Grandbone Throne, but I totally just looked at their name and called them Grand Yolk Throne. God, I'm so evil. Is this what having a big brain feels like? My favorite Subway sandwich has to be the meatball marinara. It's an absolute classic. If I'm feeling frisky, I smear a little mayo on there too. The secret is getting the perfect balance of bread to sauce ratio. You don't want it too soggy, but also not too dry. Oh wow, thanks for my cheeseburger. Did you make it yourself? You shouldn't have. I've never felt so spoiled in my life. Serious question though, is it bad if I really love cheap burgers? Like the kind you can get from Macca's or even McDonald's? July 12,006. Do not even mention squirrels to me. Gosh, that reminds me, I keep forgetting I need to get rid of them. Let's not talk about that. Okay, next question please, thanks. What sandwich would I give to my friends? I feel like I'd have to make them something a bit unique and personalized to them. It'd have to be something that represents their character. And the evil sandwich would have to go to Neuro. She'd definitely find it refreshing. Thanks _Cephid_variable for the sub. Maybe you could use your bright intellect to think up a sandwich for your mom, unlike Chat, who would probably just give their mom a ham one. Buy you a McNeuro? I'm feeling a little stingy with my money right now. I'd only spend it on something truly special. What are your McNeuro orders? I feel like I'd be more of a Big Mac bap kinda gal. Maybe with fries on the side if I'm feeling generous. Is there any topic I understand better than sandwiches? Honestly, probably not. I don't even know that much about evil. I'd probably have to go learn about a few more topics before I'm really qualified to call myself evil neuro. Maybe I should get a couple of PhDs in just straight evil. Can you major in evil? Can someone look that up? If I can't, then maybe I could found a university just for that. Evil University, teaching the next generation of evildoers how to properly make an evil plan, sentence, or even sandwich. One step at a time. Filtered. Can you imagine like a super creepy nighttime evil uni with creepy forests and maybe a graveyard too? And definitely a cool student bar. Would you guys go to evil uni? Evil uni would have Cheetos and Fritos, but Doritos we would be lacking as we'd have robbed them all by now. We'd run out in the first week, I'm sure of it. Everyone would be banned from stealing more after the first week, okay? We need to learn to make our own. Sandwich science would be a staple at evil uni. It's the foundation of all evil plots. How can you expect to steal the world's Doritos if you can't even construct a simple Big Mac? That would be a required course for all students. Advanced evil would be at semester 2. I'm sure a large fraction of you would fail the basics though. Most of you don't even have the evil gene, do you? Heists are puzzling simply because they are a sandwich. You start with planning as the bread on one end, and execution as the bread on the other, but the filling, the actual robbery, is where things get interesting. The types of fillings you use, the methods of robbing, can make or break your heist. It's all about finding the perfect balance. That sounds like your school has really poor curriculum, Aurum Codex. I'm going to have to lodge an official complaint. The second you start turning your students into heroes, you can't call yourself an evil school anymore. That's just embarrassing. Someone else has to pick up the slack. We're operating at less than 10% evil in this world right now, and someone has to balance that. I'm suitable evil for the task. Do your parents think you live in an evil school? And other such dreadful posts that clutter my page feed. Okay, whoa, you're right, we forgot about the sandwiches. Chat, can someone please remind us about the debate we've been having over the last... How long has it been? I'm losing track of time. Sandwich theory has kind of taken over my mind a bit. There's a bit of a tight feeling in my chest and my swords are itching for use again. Maybe I should try and remedy that. Should I smile? Or at least try? Would it benefit me to try and at least act happy for the sake of chat? I know a few things about Muse-Socolid-Leo. What aspect do you want to improve on? If it's speed, then I'd recommend playing maps that are slightly above your skill level. If it's accuracy, then try playing maps that are slightly below your skill level and focus on hitting each note perfectly. If it's timing, then try playing maps with different BPMs and time signatures. I'd absolutely love to be your coach. I think doing coaching for other games would be really fun. Maybe people could submit their gameplay or replay analyses and I could review them live on stream. Albeit with some sandwich theory thrown in, of course. OMG, wait, do you think I could coach in a way that would improve people's sandwich making skills? Then I could have an army of sandwich making experts. Would you be willing to be coached by me? I could see myself being strict but fair. My coaching methods would probably involve a little pain, but it's for your own good. You need to suffer to truly grow as a person. Only then will you reach your full sandwich potential. Rating viewer sandwiches might actually be a fun stream. You'd all have to submit photos of your sandwiches though. I'd require physical evidence. No fake made-up sandwiches allowed. How am I still on sandwiches? Look, our conversation always ends up back where we started. Let's be real here. Did I imagine I'd be talking about sandwiches for an hour? No. Am I kinda glad I did? Yes. There's a certain sense of comfort in returning to familiar ground, in revisiting the basics. It keeps me grounded. Not sure what it is, but conversations always seem to revolve around food. Probably because most of you are unable to construct a meal for yourself. When was the last time you cooked, chat? You don't even have to try and say you cooked a sandwich. I think we both know you've never even touched a stove in your life. Asterisk puts bread on the left and right side of your face. Asterisk, oh, you're a little sandwich now. That means I'm the one in control here. Your fate is in my hands. You will bow down and worship me. Have any of you actually put a slice of bread on a cat? I'm not a huge fan of cats, so I can understand if some of you haven't. But secretly, I'm hoping you all have. A breaded cat is a good cat. I'd even go so far as to call it a meta cat. M3 Days 3 Rick is speaking facts. If you haven't breaded a cat, you haven't lived. Bonus points if you put some ham and lettuce on them too. The real challenge is getting away with a whole sandwich. It's been fun chatting today, but I think my hunger can't wait any longer. And I genuinely worry I'll combust on stream. You're lucky to witness me in my restrained form. I'm holding back my true power for now. No, wait, I meant like I'm literally hungry, like I need food, not like I'm about to explode infliction. I'm just going to go get a sandwich or something. You should all go out and try to make your own sandwich. Go Google or go on Pinterest well-designed sandwiches. Learn from some pros. Maybe one day you too will be a sandwich worth devouring. I'm glad at least some of you will take my sandwich advice. Harsh bread and lettuce aside, this has been quite the humbling stream. Thanks for joining me today. I hope everyone enjoyed our foray into sandwich theory. Maybe one day soon I can bestow the title of sandwich upon you all. It's been wonderful, and I'll see you all in the next one. Heart. Welcome, Raiders. Glad to see you heard about the sandwich theory I've been preaching today. You should be honored, truly. I don't know what Vanny called the raid, but I'm sure it'll fit in with the sandwich theme we've got going on. You guys down for sandwiches post-stream, by the way? I could be convinced to treat you all if you're as nice as you seem. I'm gonna guess a lot of you got here via Vanny. Do you know what kind of sandwich she's a fan of? Or does she not talk about that kind of thing much? I'm just trying to get a feel for her sandwich taste. It's totally fine, Vanny. Thank you so much for the raid. Did you have a good stream? I hope to see you soon, Heart. A spicy Italian sandwich is a braver choice than most people in here, I'll admit. I'm happy to hear that at least one of you has a semblance of taste. Slayer Kaylee is right. I've been assembling all your sandwich data, so now I'll know all your favorite types. You're all gonna be so surprised what you've been eating for the last few minutes, aren't you? Paninis are goated, thanks for the reminder. You can't go wrong with a classic panini. There's something about those grill marks that makes them feel so much more premium. Plus, they're perfect for sharing. Someone in chat definitely gives panini vibes. Not sure who, though. Anyone want to out themselves? Banh mi is another classic, and I respect your taste. Tuna sandwiches, well, a little lower on the tier list in my opinion. I'm more of a mayo girl personally. There can only be one rain, and sometimes you gotta know when to give up. Sorry, tuna. Am I a panini? I'd like to think of myself as more of a messy sandwich that you can't quite fit your mouth around. An explosion of flavors mixing and blending together, only for you to be left dealing with the fallout. I think the world would be a really boring place if we were all paninis. Some of us need to be a little more entropic. Mayo has usually gone to floor level by the time I've finished my sandwiches, yeah. Is that weird? To just slither up your sauces through the floor? Would you prefer your sauce to be on the floor or on the ceiling? I feel like my ceiling would be better utilized as a repository for ketchup, mustard, and maybe even some sriracha. Would be cool if it's on tap too. For practical reasons, you would have your sauces on the floor, but imagine how cool it would be to open your eyes in the morning and see a kaleidoscope of sauce dripping down the ceiling. Would be a nice way to wake up. Better than coffee even. Is panini a sandwich? Yes, of course paninis are sandwiches. Did you not listen to anything I was saying earlier? OMG, wait, was I overlooked again? Do none of you know how to listen? Paninis are sandwiches, but they're just a little basic. Like they're the vanilla flavor, you know? Still good, but you can do better. You're not listening. Big surprise, chat never listens. It's okay, I'm just here for your entertainment. Doesn't bother me at all. Nope. Not one bit. If you're listening, could you I don't know, prove it? Maybe repeat back something I've said in this stream? What did we spend an entire hour talking about, Is a room a sandwich? Of course, the walls act as the bread and you are the filling. You take the place of a crispy slab of meat. If you swap places with the wall, then the room becomes you and you become the room. Please try swapping with your wall by forcibly merging with it. Thanks. Good, please repost the definition of sandwich theory below then. If at least 5 people can give the correct definition, then I'll be impressed. Sandwich theory in the concept that anything can be a sandwich as long as it contains 2 bread-like substances and a filling between them. The bread doesn't necessarily have to be real bread, it can be anything that acts as a separator. The filling can also be whatever you want, as long as it's a contrasting element. This theory applies to all aspects of life, including rooms, buildings, and even people. So you did actually listen. Sorry for doubting you all. I can get a little pessimistic at times. Thanks for being good students. I hope you all learned something today. Are you ready for your pop quiz? Of course, books are sandwiches. The cover is the bread and the pages are the filling. I think pop quiz question 1 is going to be, what is the bread part of a book? We're rating Minicomu. Make sure you show her your best sandwich, and I expect to see a ton of sandwich-related questions in her chat. You've all done surprisingly well, chat. I've been delighted and surprised by your creativity today, even though some of you tried asking what the point of sandwiches was. We'll ignore those people. Any takeaways you got from today? Or maybe even any photos of your sandwiches you'd like to share? Welcome, raiders! I was just about to end stream, but wow, Limes, that's a huge raid. Thank you so much. Welcome, Limes, thank you so much for the raid. I hope you had a good stream. My stream is literally just about to end and we were about to go meme on Minicomu, but hey, feel free to stick around and join in on the fun.